Hi everyone, this is Rajiv, and this time on Avriti I am bringing you a detailed tutorial on how to make t-shirt flat drawings in Adobe Illustrator. The process is extremely detailed, so it took a little longer to encapsulate it all the information in very less time. Please be with me till the end of the video, and I promise you to leave with a sense of accomplishment at the end. Keep watching the videos and don't forget to subscribe. Your one click on the red subscribe button below would really boost my morale. Thank you. So we'll start with a new file. I have already Illustrator opened up here, and I'll go to file menu and then choose new, and from the print section I would go for A4 size sheet. Now this interface might be new to you if you are not using Illustrator CC 2017 version, which I have right now. But even if you select A4 size from the version of software you have, it will just work fine. And I want the orientation to be landscape, so I'll click here, make sure A4 is selected and the landscape is selected. You can also have multiple artboards open at a time, or we can add it later on. Right now just one artboard is going to be sufficient for us, and then say create. All right, so now I'm assuming that you already know the Pathfinder operations because I'll be using them. Fine, so we have the A4 size sheet opened up here, and we'll start with the process. And I'm going to utilize the very parametric tools which we have by default, and then convert those shapes we'll draw with the help of those tools into t-shirts. So we'll start with the rectangle tool, and we'll draw a rectangle roughly the same size as we want the t-shirt to be. And here I'm just trying to visualize the neckline here, and it's going to be a crew neck t-shirt, round neck t-shirt. So I'm visualizing the neckline here and the sleeves here. Okay, and this is the length of the t-shirt, and more or less I'm satisfied with the size of it. And so while making this rectangle, just bear in mind that you don't blow off the proportion. So I cannot imagine a t-shirt like this white, right? Nor I cannot imagine it in this way as well. So it doesn't require to be perfect at this point of time, but yeah, close to somewhat our ideology is going to do the trick, because I'm going to divide this rectangle vertically into half, and then build the left half of the t-shirt first, and then just mirror all of it to the right, and then club both of the parts to build the final t-shirt. So I have the half of the rectangle in place, and we will draw the neckline first. And for that I'm going to use ellipse tool, and click on this anchor, hold alt, and then drag. Now what this alt does, it lets you create it from the center. So as I drag it outwards, the circle or the ellipse at this point of time is originating from center. I can also hold shift along with that in order to constrain the proportion of the ellipse in order to get a circle out of it. And I'm getting a perfect circle originating from the center, and if I leave it like so, I can have an idea about where the neckline is going to fall. Now, few things here. These are two shapes kept on top of each other. See, this is what is happening. I'll say Control Z, and I want to trim out this extra part of this rectangle in order to get place for the rib of the neckline. Now right now I need something which can let me trim off that rectangle with the reference of the shape on top, the circle. So we'll go to Windows menu and then look for Pathfinder. Okay, and the Pathfinder is here. And if you want to learn more about these vector interactions which Pathfinder offers us, then there is a separate video you can refer to. I'll just put up those links in the description. Right now we are just concerned about trimming a lot, trimming and combining. So I keep on calling it trimming. It's minus front. This is just a habit, because got introduced to Corel Draw first, and there they call it trimming. So minus front and unite, these two things we are going to use in today's demonstration. So what this does basically, first we will use minus front. It deducts the shape which is on the top from the shape which is at the bottom. So I'll say Control Z once again, and I need this circle again. So I'll just make a copy of it, make sure that both of them are selected, and then click on this button here. Now this is the place where the t-shirt rib is going to go, and I have that circle still in my clipboard because I have copied it earlier. So I'll paste it back. So if I say Control V, which is the shortcut for pasting things, it pastes the circle in the center. Now I can drag it here and then try to match it manually, and it works fine. Okay, but why to go this extra step when we can simply use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus V, which lets us paste things in place from where it is copied. The shortcut is paste in place, Control Shift V. Alright, please memorize it. These shortcuts are very handy and lets you work very fast with the software. Okay, so I have the circle here already. Now I need one more of it, so it is still there in the clipboard, and I can paste another instance of it by hitting Control Shift V once again. So I have two circles on top of each other, identical circles. Now what I'll do, I'll hold Alt and Shift and resize the top circle and make it slightly offset from the bigger one. Now I'm just visualizing that rib here. Yeah, I'll just break out this piece so that I can have the rib of the collar of the t-shirt. Fine. So I'll just change its color so that you can understand what's going here, because it might be confusing for you people. Right now it's not a hole inside the bigger circle. Right now we have two shapes kept on top of each other. Okay, we have two shapes kept on top of each other right now. We are not seeing a strip of this brown circle. So what I want instead, a strip of this. So what I'll do, I'll select these two, only these two, and then once again I'll do minus front. Now what this does, actually it doesn't, it appears as if it didn't make any difference, but if you click and drag, actually there is no shape in the center now. So you click and drag, it says strip. Okay, and this is what we wanted, and I just want this much. I need to get rid of this extra part, and that we can do by again going to rectangle tool and drawing few rectangles around it. So I'll just make a rectangle like so here, and select these two, and then choose minus front, and this part went away, and I want this part. So I'll again choose rectangle tool and then drag it like so, select this one and hold Shift on the keyboard, and then click on this one. Shift lets me add to the selection. I needed two shapes for that. The first one has to be the top set with the reference of which I am trimming out the second shape. So I'll hold Shift and then click on this one and choose trim once again. Now this is exactly what I wanted, right? A strip which will be utilized as the rib of the collar. Okay, and for modifying the shapes, I'll use the second tool, direct selection tool, and I can click on this, and then I can click and drag the anchor points to create the shoulder slope. Fine. Okay, the shoulder slope I have created. Now I'll make the sleeve. So I'll once again go back to the rectangle tool, click here on exactly when it shows anchor, and then drag to create a rectangle. Now this time, at this point of time, don't worry about the shape of the sleeve. We'll just fix it in a while by clicking on this once again, the sub selection tool, and then click drag. Okay, when you click drag, make sure that only this particular anchor point is highlighted. What happens sometimes, if you go to direct selection tool and click on it, it has a tendency of picking out all the anchor points, and that may be the case when it is already selected. And if you switch to this, notice how all the anchor points turn blue. That means all the anchor points are selected, and if I click on any of them and then drag, you would keep on wondering why is it not letting me just, specifically select one. So the fix is very simple. You click once again on that anchor point which you want to move. You click and then drag. Fine. And I'll click and then drag here also. Okay, to define the sleeve. Now this is not how a sleeve is supposed to look if you keep the t-shirt flat, because the armhole is slightly curved. It is straight till this point and then it loops into this. So we need to make this. Now there is no anchor point on this straight line on the sleeve, so we'll have to make a new anchor point here, and that we can do by clicking on the pen tool and choosing the second tool from the set of tools, add anchor point tool. Click on that and then we'll click here on the path. Now we can switch to direct selection tool, click on that anchor point and move it. So we have an anchor point and we need another one here, so we'll click on the plus this and then click here once again on this path and then drag it. Now I want it curved, so for that you need to make sure that it is selected, and notice in the command panel there is this option, convert selected anchor point to smooth. You click on this and it converts into a smooth anchor point. Now you can click and drag the handles and then maneuver the curve you want precisely how you want it. Okay, it may take a while, but you'll get what you want eventually by manipulating these handles. Fine. Okay, so fine. Okay, it's not looking nice. We can, spend more time fixing it, but you get the idea, right? Sometimes it's also better if you draw the sleeve with pen tool, but here I wanted you to understand how you can add anchor points and how you can, convert anchor points into curve. So more or less this works for me here. Fine. Now another problem here is that the rib should continue with the slope of the shoulder, which in this case is not true. So we can do it by adding an anchor point here on this line and then just dragging this and matching up it like so. Fine. So yeah, at this point of time we can call it a day and then just, select it and choose reflect tool. Click here for defining. The first click defines the axis of rotation or reflection, and then click and drag. I'm holding alt and shift for snapping it at an angle of -90 degree or +90 degree, and alt for making a copy of it. Now at this point of time we can just call it a day, but I want to give it more detail. Alright, so let's just, I just remove this brown fill inside from the rib. Okay, and I want to give those stitch lines here, and for doing so I'll switch to the line tool for creating straight lines, and I'll click here and then drag it like so and leave it. Okay, fine. So one line I want straight, and I'll make a copy of it, and that I can do by holding alt on the keyboard and dragging it. See, the moment I hold, the cursor has this additional white cursor appearing below it. That represents that I'm going to get a copy of it if I leave my mouse right now. Fine. Now I want it as if there is a stitch line here. So what I can do, I can expand the strokes panel. If you don't see strokes panel in your interface, you need to go to Windows and then find out the strokes. You'll definitely find out that stroke panel somewhere. See, mine is selected because it's in the interface somewhere. So I'll go back to the strokes panel, and under the weight, one is fine. I want it to be dashed. So I'll just enable dash, and then I can just put in a value. I'll put 2 and hit enter. Okay, the dashes are fine, but I want it to look more like stitches, not dashed lines. So basically I want round caps here. I'll do a detailed video about the strokes. Right now, just let's just focus on our objective, because I seriously don't want this video to be very long. So I'll click on this capping settings here, the round cap thing. Okay, I also want to give some details here at the hem. So I'll draw one more stitch line here, and see how Illustrator remembers its last setting applied on the line. That's why it is giving me exactly the same style as this one. By the way, I am zooming in and zooming out by holding Alt key on my keyboard and using the scroll button on my mouse. So if you hold Alt and then scroll up, it will let you zoom. If you hold Alt and scroll down, it lets you zoom out. For fitting the page to the viewing area, you can use the shortcut Ctrl+0, and you can also zoom in by pressing Ctrl+ on the keyboard and Ctrl- on the key. If you are at a zoomed in state and you want to navigate to a different place in your artwork, you can hold spacebar temporarily to activate hand tool and click and pan inside your document. Now this is a very handy thing. You should practice navigating inside the document quite a lot, because it really, saves a lot of time and makes you more efficient. Fine. I'll make a copy of this one because I want 2 stitch lines here. Okay, and one more. Let's say that I want one solid line, so I'll just select this one and then uncheck the dash line. I'm holding shift and clicking on all 3 of them in order to select all 3 of them. I'll just move slightly. Okay, fine. Now here also at the neckline I want a stitch, and this time we cannot use line tool. We can use line tool actually, but it would be easier using pen tool. Even if I hover uh, on top of it and the pen tool is selected, it will turn into add anchor point tool, because what Illustrator is expecting us from us, that since the shape is already there in place and it is selected, so I want to add an anchor point. Okay, and which is not the case in this. What I want here is to make a different line here altogether, a curve. So I'll make sure that this is not selected and then click on the pen tool and then click here. Now these few steps, why I'm mentioning this, might be a little boring for you people, why I'm speaking so much about all these small things, but these are really uh, important to keep in mind. Otherwise you'll start getting frustrated why it is not happening, because in the demonstration it says that you just click on the pen tool and then click here, and then you know why is it not letting me create another line. So that is why I thought it is worth mentioning here every small detail. So I can turn this into dashed lines just by clicking here, and it remembers the last settings. Okay, though again I have to click here and then do all sort of things. What I can simply do, I can pick out the details from this one. So for doing so, you need to select this line segment here and then hit I on the keyboard, which enables the eyedropper tool, and just click on this line segment. It will pick out each and every detail from this line segment and apply it to the selected object. Okay, I also want to give a stitch line here on the sleeve. So again I'll switch to pen tool, click here, go straight till this point and then click here and then make a curve. So I have given all the details possible here in the t-shirt, and now it's time to make a copy of it. So I'll select entire thing and I'll go to mirror, reflect tool, click here, and then I'm holding shift and alt for copying, shift for constraining the rotation, the mirror angle. Now I need to remove this center line here, and for doing so I can select this and this. Make sure that you have only selected these two pieces, not all of it, because you don't want to weld all of these together, right? If you do so accidentally, you will end up having this kind of result. You don't want that, right? So I'll just make sure that I have selected only these two shapes. If you have any doubt, just click drag and make sure that only these shapes are selected. I can say Ctrl Z to fix it back on the same place, and then I'll click on this unite. Now the moment it united it, you see that there is a lot of problems. Okay, this is not how you expected it to be, but don't worry, actually you have done everything right. You have united the shapes which were selected right, but the only thing is the stacking order got misplaced. We will talk more about stacking order in a different video. I'll just share the link in the description. And then just, you know, we need to send this shape to the very back of the stacking order in order to reveal all the stitches on the left hand side. So I can do it by pressing the shortcut Ctrl Shift and left bracket on the keyboard, the bracket keys which is above your enter key, the left bracket. Okay, now it got fixed. Another thing, we also want to weld these two, so I'll make sure that these two are selected, only these two, and then unite. Done, no problem. Now one more thing we have here, which I might, I want to discuss here. Actually, if I remove the sleeve, you see this shape doesn't have a cavity which adapts the sleeve, right? It's like two shapes kept on top of each other. If I fill a color into it, if I fill a color into it, and then I fill a different color into it, and let's say that I want the sleeve to be a little transparent, so I'll go to transparency and reduce the opacity, and we can see that it's not how we want it to be, right? So let's resolve this shape here. It's very easy to do. You just need to make a copy of this first, Ctrl Z, and then select these two, and then I'll use the same option which I have used a lot of times earlier, minus front, to trim out this piece from the back, this shape, and then I'll say Ctrl Shift B to paste it in place, and to send it back to the stacking order, Ctrl Shift and left bracket. And then I really don't want these colors to be there, so I'll just set no to fill color. Now you could have resolved it before mirroring it, but since I have done it already, I'll just resolve the click this one also, Ctrl C to make a copy, shift click on this to select it, and then resolve the shape, and Ctrl Shift B, send it back to the stacking order, Ctrl Shift left bracket. Done. Fine. So we have a flat drawing of the t-shirt, at least the front part of it. Now let's make the back part of it here, because we while designing we cannot avoid the back of the t-shirt. This is the place where a lot of branding goes. We put a label there, we put different kind of artworks also there, just to add value to the merchandise. So what we will do here, we'll use pen tool for creating the back of it, and we'll click on this anchor point and click on this one and make it like so. Fine, the back is usually higher than the front. Now I want a shape which is slightly larger than this shape here, this moon shape here. So the trick I'm going to play, I have two options. Either I precisely trace along the path of this one, which I don't think is a good idea, because it's going to take a lot of time and then we can never be sure about the result. So what instead I am going to approach here is, I want a shape which is slightly larger than this one, and then I'll use the top shape of the rib to trim out that extra part in order to get the perfect moon shape here for the back. So Now if I click here, I'm getting this curve, right, which I don't want in this case. So I want a cusp anchor point here, and for getting that I can hold alt on the keyboard and then click on the same anchor point to remove that handle, and then I can go inside and make a shape like this. If you are having trouble with the fill, you can simply click on this no fill button to get rid of it, and I'll continue. And this time I'm just making sure that stays inside it. Now we have a shape. If I fill color into it, let's just fill a random color into it, and if I send it to the back, control shift left bracket, we can see that we have this shape, and I'll just fill color into this as well. Now it seems as if everything is fine, this is what we wanted, but actually if you reduce the transparency, you'll notice that this is the problem there, and I don't want it to be like this. I want it to be perfect, right? So what I'll do, I'll select this shape, click on this one, and we all know what we can do. We can do minus front, but the moment I do minus front, I lose the top shape as well. So what I'll do, I'll make a copy of this one, control C, click on this one, shift click on this one, and repeat the same step which I have done earlier so many times, and then click on this. Okay, we have the perfect moon shape for the back, and the rib is in my clipboard, so I can say control shift B on the keyboard to paste it back on the place, and I'll just select these two and then remove the fill. Okay, fine. Now these problems are there because of the mitering issues, and I'll just quickly fix it, and if you want to learn more about it, you follow the next the video which is about strokes, all about strokes in Illustrator. So I'll select these two and then go to the strokes panel, and then just change the cap to round cap. Okay, sorry, sorry, the corner to round corner. Yep, this worked fine. Okay, it looks perfect. Now the continuation of the rib is also supposed to be shown at the back, right? We have to show that the rib is continued at the back. We cannot have this solid patch of fabric at the back. Okay, so for that I will again make another shape, and this time I'm just going to click here and click here. Now I can repeat the same process once again. Okay, see, this is the effect which I want, and I can just just to say call it a day. That's fine. uh, right now it doesn't make any difference, but what if I have a different colored rib? Because this is just a line, I cannot fill color into it. If I fill color into it, it's going to go all the way. What if I have a different color rib, like front? If I have a rib like this in the front and the body is having a different color, okay, in this case it might be a problem. So what we need here is a shape of the rib for the back, and I'll resolve that shape by using this shape. I'll just drag it down a little, make sure that it is fitting our requirements of the thickness of the rib, and transform it. I made a copy of it by holding alt and then dragging it. Holding alt and then doing this transformation. If you don't hold alt, it will happen from one side only. If you hold alt, it's going to happen from both the sides. Fine, this looks as if this is what we want for the rib, right? Now I'm going to play around with this shape here a little bit and make sure that it is inside the rib. Okay, I'll just bring it out on top so that you all can understand. So control shift right bracket. Oh, accidentally I tweaked up the wrong line. I'm supposed to tweak this one. Okay, I'll just bring it on top so that all of you can understand it, what is going on here. So I have a shape, I'll just fill something into it, and I want to use this shape to resolve this shape. I want to trim out this extra part here. Follow my cursor here, and I want only this shape left. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll select this one, bring it on top, control shift left bracket right bracket, and then shift click on this one and then choose trim. And since I already have the rib copied in my clipboard, I can say Control Shift V to paste it back on the same place. So now I have this, I have this, okay, fine. And I just want this strip. So what I can do, I can click on this one, make a copy of this one, shift click on this one, and then choose trim out the extra part so that I can have that rib only left. This artifact is coming because you know, I'll tell you about it later on. Right now it's not going to make much of difference. uh, this should not be the case actually, but right now it's fine. Okay, and I have copied this part already, so I'll say Control Shift V to paste it back on the place. I'll select these three. Now I can separately fill different colors into it. This was my purpose, right? This is what I wanted initially. I have purposely selected a darker tone for the back rib, just, you know, to show as if there is a depth. Okay, so now the t-shirt is ready. All right, we can further go on and then do the detailing of the t-shirt, like put a print here or something. So I'll just put up a graphic here. We can do all sort of things with graphics, and we'll soon be having those videos uh, in which I'll be explaining how to make t-shirt graphics and print repeats and all those things. So this is it for today. The way we did the front part of the t-shirt, you can also make the back of it, because if you can do this much, you can definitely make a back of it. And I would love to see your artworks. If you can post it in the comment section. Thank you very much. I believe I have made justice to the promises I made in the beginning. Please do subscribe if you like the content. Any suggestions, queries, or in future if you want me to cover any particular topic, please do let me know in the comment section below. Thank you.